Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It's the final word. Everton 1, Newcastle 4. This is the second time I'm doing that intro, that's why I've said it like that. 4-1 home defeat by Newcastle United. Everton well beaten in the end. Joined by Steve in the studio. Ped. Steve, obviously, very, very disappointing result in what was a big game for Everton because, quite simply, they're running out of games to save themselves.
Yeah, it was the whole start of the day looked obviously card outside, obviously done by the 1878, which was brilliant again. Players don't deserve it.
No.
And to put the performance that they put in, it was just a kind of bit of a slap in the face by the end of it all. They're a team with no belief, mate. I just looked around the whole team last night and I just thought there's not one player who's trying to get us out of it. And they got what they deserve, really, in the end.
I mean, Ped, I get what Steve's saying, and certainly that's how it ended. The last hour was like that.
Yeah.
The manager with the team picked, I can't for the life of me understand why he picked Ben Godfrey at right back, but he did. Obviously, Onana and Decore come back into the side, so it gives you Calvert-Lewin was available. So I've certainly got to the ground thinking, that looks like a path. I was worried about Godfrey, I'm not going to lie, but it looked all right. The noise, obviously the bus welcome had been great. The noise inside the ground was incredible. It was all set up, and Everton started the game quite well, I thought, really, with all of that going on. Good intensity. But once things go wrong, once things go against them, they just cave, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, they're not a good team, are they? They're just not a very good side, and what the fans have gone to the well again. But it all just feels like going through the motions to me, rather than it being sort of organic.
With the fans?
Yeah, even with the fans.
Does it, yeah?
Even with the fans, I feel it is, and that's not. I'm going to go.
No, it's not a criticism.
I just don't think. I'm just not. I think the fans are doing everything they can, but I still don't think people actually believe it. I think last year people did believe it. I don't think people believe it this year. I certainly don't believe it in terms of the players. And I think, listen, fans do what they can do, and it was great outside, great inside, fireworks, all the rest of it. But you have to have something, don't you? And that's what made last night even worse for me.
Yeah.
Because it was two teams who are, 12 months down the line, the differences are just absolutely incredible. And again, talking about football clubs as a whole, the difference of where we are. And forget about all the money. Forget about the money, because they haven't even flexed their muscles yet.
No.
They haven't even flexed them. But just where they are as a club, and the feeling and the control, and almost like we're just going to come and we're going to basically laugh at you. The time wasting and all that is, you love it if you're a fan. You love seeing all that. That's your team, and and all the opposition really have is bluster. Is we'll run round for a little bit, and we'll make it look like we're really trying. Because they will. Don't get me wrong, they're trying. But to me, last night was the sign of what we are and the lack of quality. And in a way, I'm all right with that, because that's genuine. That's like, you watch that and you just went, yeah, this is who we are. Said the same Palace on Saturday. He was watching and thinking, I'm not going to get upset about this, because I can see people are trying, but there's no quality.
No.
And there's no way of playing that is get you off your seat, or there's no plays you get you off your seat. So last night, when the goals started raining, I was just like, this is who we are.
Yeah.
And this is the true face of where the football club is now. And you can't hide that with you can't fake it, can you? No. You can't tell fans, you can tell fans, do this and do that for us, get your flares out and we'll respond. When you don't, you can sit there and go, yeah, this is who we are. So it wasn't a pleasant evening, but at the same time, I think a lot of people who may have been under the illusion that some of these players had something more to give. I think that was extinguished last night.
I think you're absolutely right with obviously the starkness of the two teams. We sat there a little bit over 12 months ago and seeing, even though Newcastle were improving and we're getting results, we were battling as well, and there probably wasn't that much between them on the night, and we edged it with the 10 men and all of that stuff. And yet 12 months later, they're in the Champions. They basically are with that win in the Champions League now with the games. They've got
been there all season.
They've got like Southampton at home on Sunday. They'll confirm it. Then fair play to them. Good luck to them. But I just sat there and thought, and I know it doesn't always come down to money. And Newcastle, they have spent money. They haven't spent, but they've still spent 200 odd million. Still, it's a decent amount of money. But that's by the by. They've spent money and bought correctly and bought good players. I'm not having a go there. It was about us. I was sat there thinking the amount of money we've spent. And that's our front line. That is our options. And the only one out of the front players who we can really rely on is the kid that cost us £1 million from Sheffield United. And yet we can't rely on him because he's never fit. But he's the only one who's delivered goals on a regular basis. And when you spent the money Everton Football Club have spent, and you don't have any options. That's last night. And I looked at them and they had Isaac, and they had Joe Linton, and they had Callum Wilson. You know, they had Joe Willock, Anthony Gordon, Almiron. And you look at them and go, wow, I know, listen, they haven't brought all of them in. They were at Newcastle before. And even when Newcastle was struggling, they still knew they had to have people who could put the ball in the back of the net for them. They got Callum Wilson, they got Ryan Fraser, I know he never plays him, they got Ryan Fraser, people like that in. Everton have gone the other way. Everton have reduced their attacking options year on year and almost said... No, but it is, and they've almost said, this is the model we're following. We're following a model where, I just want to read something else, we're following a model where we're going for the sunny day plan where no one gets injured and these are our players. And people will argue with you when you go, we should have 2 strikers on the bench who could push it. Or we only play with 1, so how could you keep 3 lads happy? Well, other teams keep 5, 6 happy. So you do. Trust me, footballers like getting paid. And some of them don't mind getting paid. Ours seem to not mind getting paid for never playing. I just wanted to read this out because this was stark. It's off Elbretland, do we know? Centre forwards Everton have signed since Romelu Lukaku left. Cenk Tosun, Sandro Ramirez, Moise Kean, Salomon Rondon, Neil Maupay. 66 million quid spent. Goals, 13. Newcastle, 58 million for Isaac. 10 goals since August. So less on one player, 3 goals less than them 5. And that, to me, is a stark thing of where Everton Football Club are. You look at the money we've wasted. But I don't understand how we've gone from just 2 years ago having a team that had Sigurdsson, Rodriguez, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Moise Kean was there as well. All of those players, for Kean to the side, the other players, all scoring goals, all making a big impact. And we've ended up now to what we've got with lads. Iwobi runs around and creates things now and again. McNeil is the one who is trying his best every game. He's got 5 goals, Everton's top scorer. Damari Gray, well, when he's going to turn up, Neil Maupay's been away. Callum Wilson doubled Neil Maupay's season tally last night in about 20 minutes, in one game, in a 20-minute spell, whatever it was. And when you look at that, you can be all right in goal. A weird obsession with Pickford that Newcastle have got, which as they get bigger, they need to just put in the bin because you don't need to be. But anyway, goalie, defence can be all right at times, although Ben Godfrey had one of the worst games I've ever seen Everton play last night. Midfield, you can argue and go, they're all right at it. But that final third, when you can't produce goals when you're paid to get goals, you're going to struggle like hell, aren't you?
Yeah, there's just nothing up top. And like I was saying to you before, when we were going forward last night, I just truly believe we were never going to score. And as a fan, there's nothing more
And especially when you go a goal down then.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing worse as a fan when you're watching a game and you're hoping to get back in that game, where you just know the forward players just aren't good enough to get you back in a football game.
Plan, though, is there?
No, there isn't.
What's the plan? What's the plan to score goals?
Yeah,
it was set pieces early on. What's the plan now?
No,
they don't go consistently long to Dom. He's there on the pitch. Go long to him. Pick up the second
Get people
ball.
round him. And
You don't pick up the ball and run. Iwobi, the only chance we created in the second half was when Iwobi picked up the ball, ran, shrugged off the lad, and played him in. And you want that to happen like 5-6 times in a game. Doesn't happen.
How many times does he do that?
The worst thing was we got him in at 1-0.
Yeah.
And he scores. And I've seen lots of Newcastle fans have messaged us going, it should have stood. They used them lines, didn't they? The wavy ones. But whether it should have or it shouldn't have stood, it was close regardless. But he got in behind. So why didn't we try that 6 other times? Why was that the only time we tried to get him in? There's not even a thing of, look, you give Man... Just go with me with this analogy. Man City, right, do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, don't they? Yeah. Until eventually the dam breaks and they get in and do it. Other teams will try long diagonals all day in the hope you get in once or twice. We do something that almost works and then we don't do it again. We never try it again. And that, to me, is the biggest... You just hit the nail on the head with set pieces. Yeah. The back post, in-swinging set piece, where's that gone? We got goals off it, it's gone.
I think you have to admit there's bigger problems with these plays, like 5-yard passes.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's genuine though, isn't it?
No, we had 2 out last night when there was no one there.
Keeping a ball, like, no. You just booted one out. Yeah. You've done something good.
Yeah, in the first half,
got excited.
There was nobody there.
But it is that little bit of invention, isn't it? It is getting played. Just like I did something before with the BBC, and I'm trying to convey how I feel about this team and how, as someone who watches the games, and I can't explain to people how bad this team is. People love to dress up teams and make it's this thing, and like people go, oh, you've got a good defence, you've got a good midfield. And you've got what's going wrong? And you're like, but we haven't. You've dressed up players. Why? Because players have got images. Because Alex Iwobi does podcasts with Ian Wright or his mates from London, so therefore that makes him a good player. Damari Gray goes on Instagram. Does that make him a good player? Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Iwobi 41% pass accuracy.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin does all his stuff, but he can't get him on the pitch. I'm not having a go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Just saying. People make their mind up on these. Mopai, remember when he did that thing that once? That doesn't make him a good player. No. Michael Keane, he's got England class. Doesn't make him a good player. Ben Godfrey, I've seen him play when he gets on the run. Doesn't make him a good player. Michalenko's Ukrainian international. Doesn't make him a good player. Onari paid 30 million for him. Doesn't make him a good player. There's the bench. Look at the bench. The bench is just horrific. It's horrific. And you've got kids like Mills and others who are still at the club who can't get anywhere near it. And there's not enough realism talked about this team. These players, we've said this a million times, Baz, when we've done things, we don't care about any of them. Because why would we? No. I don't have any, there's not one of them. Onana can shout at the cheerleader all he wants, doesn't mean... Score some goals, do some work for us, mate. Do the thing you're supposed to do. There's barely anyone I have any appreciation for. Seamus, because he's a captain's run through brick walls. He's seen all the relatively good times move into this, and I feel horrible for him because he is the only one who's an actual leader who puts his. I seen him last night. When after the match, I watched the goals and get them in my head so I could talk about them. There's a clip of him in there, and the lad looks like he just wants to get out there. Like, if he could rip his top off and get out there, he would do. Because that's the kind of fella he is. Honest to God. You know what I mean? You got people like him. And the only other fella who is actually Pickford. Because he does actually seem like a genuinely stand-up person. The rest of them, I just couldn't care. And the only other one is Garner, because he's quite consistent. He just plays the game. He left PSG to come and play for us. He seemed to have a bit of consistency. The rest of them...
Do you know what I've noticed last night about Pickford as well? He's not scared to give other players a bit back as well, and they don't like it. Like you see some of them arguing back with them. Like Michael Keane, there was one in the first half, I think it was, where Keane had lost his man at the back post, and Pickford was telling him about it. And Keane started moaning about thinking, he's the captain, mate. He's the captain.
He was pointing to someone else, Keane, as if the goal was his fault.
He's trying to pass the bait. And that's what this squad have done for... Some of these players are on the 6th, 7th managers. They shouldn't be anywhere near the club, mate. They shouldn't. And the reality is, you're seeing it now. But there's more and more people who are opening their eyes.
Well, it's stripped back, Steve.
Yeah. Because this is 2 years on the bounce. It's not a one-off.
No.
It's 2 years on the bounce that some of these players have put us in the shit again.
Don't forget, like, everything is stripped back because we have had quality over the last few years where it's almost... It's got people out of trouble. Yeah. So you've had Richarlison, who's been a talisman and got goals. Don, when he was fit regularly, scored goals, and you've had Carlo Ancelotti, and you've had James Rodriguez, and we did have the COVID season, and we had Luca Dean, and so players were making mistakes, but other players were coming up with goals, and it wasn't as... Now it's stark. 25 goals scored in 33 Premier League games. Erling Haaland's got 49 goals on his own. I get it in all competitions, but I just mean, there's the thing. We've got 25 goals, the lowest scorers in the Premier League. And now we've let 7 goals in the last 2 home games.
You look at, to me, I was saying it to you before, you look at clubs like Bournemouth in January. They were below us, I think, in January window. They went out and bought players. We all sat on this sofa on transfer deadline night and said, if we don't sign a striker, we are in big trouble.
That's when it really...
And we said, if Dom goes down...
Because he'd only just come back, by the way.
Yeah. He come back for the Arsenal game, and then we didn't see him for 11 weeks.
No.
So whoever sanctioned an attacking player to walk out the door and then not replace that attacking player, even though we might not like that attacking player, because he's, let's be honest, he is bang average and we got good money for him, but we didn't replace him with anyone. Sorry, we tried to get Andrew Ayew, allegedly.
Well, we offered money for Beto at 5 o'clock on deadline day. Like
that's what I mean.
All right.
And this is what just frustrates me, and I just think this is what essentially will probably put us down by not reacting.
Well, we can't.
Like other clubs.
You just mentioned Bournemouth there. They went to Spurs the other week and scored 3 goals at Tottenham. No, Spurs aren't great at the moment, but even so, they went after the game.
Yeah, of course.
2-2, they went after the game in the 95th minute.
Could have sat on the punts.
You know, they went to Leicester and won. They've gone to Southampton.
Liverpool at home.
You look at Bournemouth on paper and you go, they're not great. Then they're going to struggle.
Wasn't last night a perfect reflection of that, though? You know, being 1-0 down at half time, and then not bringing a sub on until after we were 3-0 down. Yeah. And Mopai was getting, you know, again, I watched it last night. Mopai's getting a drink. He's getting Lucas Aid in. He's taking the, and that's at 1-0. And then because they've dividend, there's no, you know, it.
Well, Don went to come off about 3 times.
It all filters down. He's done the same. You know, I'm not blaming the manager as such. His nature doesn't help. I don't think his idea of trying to win games 1-0. I mean, you're 1-0 down, mate. How's that going to work for you? You know, you
can't do that.
You can't do that in football anymore. You're at home. You've got a crowd baying for something to happen. You've got to change the game. Surely you can't sit there after 60 minutes like you did in the Fulham game and think, we'll get something here. We've all been watching the whole season, and we know there's nothing in this team. And if there was, maybe it was playing for Newcastle. You know, not that I particularly think he's any good, but if there was a chance to be made, there's no one out there. You've got to make things happen when they're not.
Or it was sat on the bench. So
you've either bring Damari Gray on, and he might just put one of those 25-yarders and kill and stop in, or you bring another striker on, or you go, do you know what, Garner come off and I'll put another striker on, or you do something.
It's all like for like, isn't it?
Sit on their hands while Newcastle are in full control, by the way. Absolutely full control.
The thing that surprised me, obviously, like I said, I think the first half an hour, Everton were all right. I think we were well in it. I think we were the better team in the opening half an hour. We looked up for it, and I was thinking, if we can get a goal now while we're on top, we'll ask questions of these, because they looked a little bit off it to me. But then they broke. They broke from their own corner because Everton, McNeil didn't go and put the pressure on like he should.
They come from Trippier, didn't they?
They come from this corner, knocking out. No one meant to close the ball. Tarkovsky should have won the header when it come up to Wilson. And they skipped away. Almiron switched it, and then we were in trouble. awful defending by Godfrey. All right, they got a lucky break and Wilson stabs it home. But that just, and I know it would do, because you're in the ascendancy and they break and score, you'd be like,
we're in the ascendancy though.
We were in total control.
Were we though?
I mean,
but there's total control and there's just the opposition.
Okay, I thought we were in control. We were the better team. And if you're arguing against that,
we
that's fine.
I thought first 20 minutes,
we were the better team. They've done nothing. Literally.
It was a bit crazy, the game.
But I think, for me though, I looked at them and I just thought, these are just waiting for us to make a mistake.
But I don't get that with Premier League teams. They're not that good that they can. I think City
They clearly are that good though.
No, I don't believe
they are though, aren't they?
But we make that mistake.
So they are that good.
All right, okay. I will disagree. Everton were the better team. Newcastle fans telling me the exact.
Can't have that. We huffed them.
I'm not really bothered about your opinion. I'm not really bothered. I'm speaking.
No, but we didn't make.
We had 8-7 shots in the first 20 minutes.
They were all just p-rollers to the goalie.
They hadn't had any.
I know, but
they hadn't had any. Not a single one.
But that doesn't. We weren't bossing the game. We were just. It was all just like running around a bit. That's what I'm saying. These are the team in third place.
Okay.
But this is the problem, isn't it? We've done nothing in the game, and we've convinced ourselves that we have.
All right. I'll switch it then. If Everton went away to Leicester on Monday, and Leicester have had 7 shots in the opening, or 6 shots in the opening 23 minutes, Everton haven't had an attempt at goal, haven't had the ball up by Leicester's box, you'd say Everton are just cool and we're just waiting for that moment. Crap. See, this is, you can't have a...
Well, you can though, because they're in third place.
All right, go on, just rant, go on.
They're in third place.
Go on.
They've just, we haven't done anything. We've convinced ourselves, because we've got the crowd going and everything. They've just sat back and waited. We haven't actually done anything. Having the ball in a game of football doesn't necessarily mean you've done something. And this has happened the other way, where we've had loads of games where the opposition have had loads of the ball and we've said, but what have you done with it? Sometimes it can be played the other way. I'm not saying Newcastle were amazing. What I'm saying is that we didn't actually do anything in that time. If you've got the ball for 30 minutes, you've got to do something, haven't you? You've got to make chances. Having P-rollers from Dwight McNeil doesn't mean we did it on Saturday. We had a few chances, and apart from the Iwobi shot. I'm not saying Newcastle were amazing, but to me, they were just sitting there going, well, these will give us an opportunity. And I think for them, it was just a case of calm the crowd down. And they calmed it down with the goal. I'm not saying Newcastle were amazing, by the way. What I'm saying is that they just waited and didn't ride any luck. But you know what I mean? I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is...
you literally are.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Literally told me I'm not.
Saying Newcastle did anything. What I'm saying is they just waited.
I thought Everton were the better side. We were the team pushing. We looked like we were going to score. They didn't. But what I was going to say was their quality in that one moment went bump, 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 and it was 1-0. And the minute it went 1-0, bar the Dominic Calvert-Lewin incident, which could have brought Everton level, they did take total control. And I thought when we come out for the second half, I thought he'll get them in. And what the message should have been was, lads, you've just cut through them with one ball. Get Dom in. Push up, get them in behind. We'll go out, we'll create a head of steam, and we'll see what they've got. And yet Newcastle had the ball in our box after about 10 seconds of the second half. They just went bump, bump, and they were in the box.
It was Joe Linton on the left again.
And it was like...
And was it Tarkovsky cleared off the line?
Cleared it away, didn't he? And you were like, right, where's our... And then I totally agree with you. They just went, we're holding you. And they just had us like a little kid where you're swinging.
But don't you think that Howe would have said to them before the game, this is all going to be... Because it was the tactics for me from Newcastle, the going down, the time wasting.
What are they going to do?
No, I know, but that's clever. The point.
Good.
Getting the fans to be angry about other stuff rather than getting behind the team. Because it's like that thing of like... It's the thing of like, well, it's actually better to be angry for them at Newcastle fans going down than pushing behind the team. And I just thought, that's what I mean. It's like, you can have games of football where you have the ball, but it's like, what are you doing?
But I agree with that when you're not having attempts at goal. I really do.
No,
but I think we were having attempts at goal. So, and for Everton, that is very good to have the period where you're.
There was none which I wouldn't say there was.
No, there was. Pope wasn't having to take worldies. Of course, he wasn't.
Don't you?
Well, he wasn't having to make worldies.
But create anything until I'm saying Dom's one which was disallowed, which I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
But second half, they did. After the goal, they did have that total control, and that's where I do agree with you. But Everton have nothing, and that might be because the game plan is 1-0. And so when you go 1-0, because I don't know about you, the minute they scored, I thought, well, obviously we've got to score two to win this, and we won't score 2 goals.
No.
So the best then, after 30 minutes or whatever it was when Callum Wilson scored, the best you're then looking at is 1-1.
1-1.
And you're going, right, a draw then. Then you feel deflated because you think, it's at home now.
Yeah.
It's at home, and we have to win. And they come out second half and they were brilliant. Gimenez controlled it. They were competitive. They were sharp. I thought Joe Linton was excellent.
Yeah, he was.
They were kept hold of the ball. They moved it round. We couldn't get near them. And they did just go bump. And then the defending for the second. I mean, Godfrey, awful for the first goal. Even worse for the second goal. Even worse. They just took him. Willock it was. Just took him the clean. Don't know where his pace has gone, by the way.
And this is what I couldn't get my head around. We could all see what was happening in the stadium. Basically, Newcastle were looking for that switch.
The switch
all the time.
And he didn't know where he was.
Because Iwobi doesn't sack back
No, he didn't. He doesn't.
The right side was horrific last night.
And that's all they were doing. Feel like you said, the first minute they come out in the second half, they switch the ball.
Switch the play.
Because Dyche's got this thing where the full-backs come in, doesn't he? It leaves a big gap at the side. And
well, that might be all right if your full-back knows where he's playing.
That's what I mean. And the first half they did it, second half they basically did it. You know what? They didn't have to do much to get in. Really. Like, they didn't really have to, like, do amazing play. It was like, oh yeah, I'll switch there. He's letting loads of space. He knows he's going to beat him for pace because he's been roasted all game. And then the other side, Almiron, get it to him. Jog past Mikalenko. It's the same. It's so easy to play against. And it's not the first time it's happened, by the way. It's been happening the last couple of weeks.
It's not our first rodeo. No,
it's definitely, teams have targeted the full-back areas because they know the poor.
But the other thing as well with that second goal, Willock does brilliant, right? He leaves Godfrey for dead and just runs. But both Michael Keane and Tarkowski see Joe Linton, and both run. Keane runs towards the front post and Tarkowski runs to the line. So all he does is just think it back and Joe Linton just goes, thank you, and it's game over.
It's all too easy, mate.
It's just so simple.
Like, again, as we were saying there before, it's just a desire. There's no desire to keep the ball at the back of the net. It was just so easy.
And you do feel sorry for Pickford because he
made a great
just
save,
made before that, and I was right behind it. It was an absolutely brilliant, because as he hit it, I went goal, because it was in. And he somehow made a save. It was unbelievable, kept the game alive. And Andy, my mate who sits next to me, was like, that could change our season. He was, to be fair, he was laughing when he said it, but he was like, that could change the season, because you never know. Everton might have got a draw. The next minute it was 2-0, and then the third goal, don't get me wrong, it was a great finish, but again,
where's the closing down?
No closing down, go ahead, mate. And Wilson just went, well, we're 2 up, and I'll just use you as a guide, and bends it in the top corner, and it's 3-0. And you're going, well, it was 1-0 a minute ago, and it's 3. Because Everton fold like a pack of cards. Everton fold like no other team. You get up against Everton, you can be 3-0 up in. We just do what they did to Spurs at the weekend. That's what Everton do. 1 becomes 3 very quickly, and all of a sudden you were 3-0 down, and it was like, this is...
Do you know what I have to say, though? I think the crowd, right, everyone goes on about the crowd going, oh, they're impatient. I actually thought we were really patient with them last night. There wasn't really... We didn't go on the backs. There wasn't no booing or nothing like that when we went. Like, this is what does me head in when you see like that divvy Martin Keown this morning talking about Everton fans got to stick with them. We've stuck with them for 2 years. You know what? Name another fan base.
Stuck with them for 28 years.
No, but I mean the last 2 seasons, which have been horrendous.
Terrible,
But this is what I mean. And like you're seeing comments like, "Oh, you got to stick with your team." Like, I don't like this. Like leaving the ground, mate.
The thing about it, Steve, like. It's self-preservation. It's always self-preservation with journalists and the media. Always, well, you know, ex-footballers in the media, sorry. It's always self-preservation. You know, it started with them, you know, entitled to go down and all this kind of thing. You can die. It's all self-preservation. Footballers, they don't see the fan side of it. They don't see the mental turmoil during the week and then building yourself. I personally didn't. But how many people would have built themselves up yesterday for that game?
We were saying it, weren't we? Why are people putting it on? It's this huge
people would have built themselves up for yesterday. And to be let down so badly by your players and your manager during the game, then your immediate feeling would be, I want to, like my feelings, I'm going to sit down for 2 minutes in the garden seat. That's what my feeling's going to be. Do you know what I mean? So other people are like, that's it, I'm going to go. And for other people to come out and then go, it's like, fuck off, mate.
I think these players have got away with a lot.
Yeah, of course they have. I've just done something with the BBC, and it's like you're sitting here, I'm talking to an ex-player, and he's sitting in astonishment while I drag the players through the mud, like, oh, no, you can't. These are good players. And it's like, mate, they're not good players. And the reason why they get away with it is, number one, you just don't care, and number two, because you just want to change the subject to, the fans and the flares and, it's up to you. It's like, fuck off. We've done this. How many times do we need to do this? They are paid to be in there. We're not. We pay to be in there. We pay for all this to happen. And it's just like,
I think, for me, right, I was sat there last night, just in, like last season, it felt like we just fell into this and all of a sudden no one was prepared for it. It was like jumping out of a plane without a parachute last year. Couldn't sleep, felt sick every day. We're doing this every single day. We're having the same conversation. We're going, what do you think? You're looking at points, you can't, and all that. And this year, I just feel numb. It's like, I don't know whether it's, I just haven't got the energy for it. I don't know.
I think there's a lot like
but
that.
But I just feel like, when you've had a warning so starkly, as like, it's like people who smoke and have a heart attack and never stop smoking, and then you're going like, try and do something different. You're going to be surprised if it happens again or something gets away. That's what it feels like. Everton nearly died, like, that's too big a word. Everton nearly got relegated last season. So therefore, they're on the pitch at the end and we're all, how relieved were we? How for such a horrible situation, how relieved were we? We all could breathe again. And it was like, right, this must not happen again now. Right? And then people own the club, people who are on the board, your director of football, your coaching staff and your manager at the time should have all had a huge meeting and gone, is this avoided? Right, what is the issues? Like, we haven't got this, go and plan it properly. Don't scattergun your approach. We knew we had to sell Richarlison, he was our top goal scorer, right? Yeah. So hang on, we've got to sell our top scorer, right? What? If you said to a child playing FIFA, well, you're selling your top scorer, what do you need to do? A child would say, get someone else who scores goals. When yet these professionals who are earning a lot of money and pinching a living in some cases didn't think that was important for Everton Football Club.
Question for you, the first 4 games, how many new players did we have in the team?
1, wasn't it?
It was like
or 2. Tarkovsky.
First 4, it was 1 and Cody coming.
Cody coming from Villa second game. Yeah. But we had 2 and he was centre backs. We were in America.
How many strikers did
we were in America? We watched the Arsenal game in Baltimore, and that was a bit like they slapped us about a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. No. Right? It was like,
first game,
that's Arsenal, first game, you allow it, don't you? Yeah. Minnesota destroyed us. Yeah. And we're there, and we're like, Ped's like, don't look very good, do you? Ring him up and go, no, but we'll get players because everyone will see that. In fact, I remember us sitting in the dugout after it doing a thing and going, I don't know whether it was on camera or off camera, we were saying, well, what it'll do is it'll wake everybody up, that's for sure. So now they'll have to go and do something.
Got Connor Cody.
He went and got Connor Cody was the one second, and that's no disrespect.
No,
he's been good, but we're talking about attackers. Yeah. And I've done the overlap today, and I referred to is that I was asked at the start of the season, what do you think? And I said, well, if they can keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit, they'll be all right, I think, with what they've got. But I said, we still need another striker, but if we can keep him fit. I walked out, studio, got in the car, he texted me, when Calvert-Lewin's out for 3 months. And but the biggest thing at that was, it was 4 days before the first game of the season. It wasn't August the 30th. It was 4 days before we kicked the football. So we knew straight away our striker's gone for 3 months.
Malpai didn't come into the Liverpool game.
Came in. He came in for Leeds. Should have been Leeds, but the Premier League wanted the day off. Yeah. But he wasn't the answer, and we knew he wasn't, and yet we asked about. So it isn't like we fell into this, no one's prepared. My thing of being numb comes because these people have seen this, knew. Even when we got to a break, World Cup, when we got to there, we were struggling. We knew what we needed to do.
We needed to sack
we got that, but as well as doing that.
To be fair, though, to be fair, just to be, they'd already put his face on the poster for Australia.
They did,
So
to be fair.
you can't sack a
But
manager.
even that, even whether you did or you didn't, you still needed to bring attackers in the January. And we left it right away. And like you said before, whether we
had one at
whether we
the
thought
training ground,
Anthony Gordon was
he was
good, we had two at the training ground. One walked out without signing, the other one didn't like what the fans had done against Southampton and went somewhere else. Fair enough. But we had a player in our midst. Whether we thought he was good enough or not, he was a forward player, like you said. I don't particularly care that he's gone. But what I do care about was he was our second top scorer and we let him go without replacing him.
Isn't he still our second top goal?
He is.
Third.
Third, man.
Third.
And that to me is why I am now kind of in the situation. I was sat there last night, it was 2-0, 3-0. I was just like, yeah, I can't even be angry because A, we've got nothing to score, and B, these deserve that shame of...
Don't you have to, and this is saying where I am, don't you have to just stop feeling sorry for yourself and say, like, something needs to be done about it?
I feel sorry for me, lad.
No, exactly.
I've just paid
Like,
900 quid today to renew our season tickets for the championship, right?
Yeah.
I feel sorry for him. I've seen Everton win the league and the cup and Europe and all that. I look at him and think, unless there's a weird change, you might win anything.
Or if Everton go down, he can have Man City as his Premier League team.
Never mind, yeah.
Never mind. No, but like, don't you have to just feel like, because it is that thing of like, you know, when people are sick but refuse to get treatment because they don't want to hear bad news. Do you know what I mean?
So they just go like that.
They go la la la, and they just get sick.
And you go, if you'd have gone and got treatment, you give yourself a chance.
That's what we're like now. It's like, for me, I've been like that for absolutely ages. I think more people need to be like wake up to this and go,
I think they will.
Stop feeling. I can't tell people how to feel, but stop feeling sorry for yourself and the fan base and start waking up to why this is. And if we have to take really hard steps to get better and for it all to get better, there's no point almost even Everton staying up if they do not learn the lesson.
This is the same again.
Because that's what we did last season. And too many people, I'm afraid, and I'm sorry if you're watching this video and you are one of those people, but too many people went, oh, well, let's have a summer holiday. Let's all be together. Certain people whose husbands work for the club came on Twitter and told everyone, oh, don't fall apart. Don't have arguments. Don't sign Erling Haaland. You know, all these people came out and were like, don't ruin the harmony. Instead of going, there's a big, massive virus at this football club and it needs dealing with. And they didn't. People just went, la, 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 la. They bought the drunk Frank Lampard's Kool-Aid and went, it's all going to be great because Frank's got the bus. Instead of going, we need to sort this out. And unfortunately, we are where we are now because not enough people in the club, outside the club, fans of the club, were prepared to say, this is fucked and we need to get it sorted now. And you know what? This is what happens when you don't get treatment, when it's possible. You fucking have your leg cut off.
I think the problem, no, listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, are you?
Or one of your bollocks.
Painful. We've seen it, haven't we? We played a club last night who've gone through this for 15 years. Not quite. They have, because they've had terrible stuff. But their club wasn't run into massive debt the way we've done it. And that could give you a bit of hope. That I looked last night and seeing the unity of the fans, the team, they're all together. They won 6-1 at the weekend. They've come and won 4-1 at Everton and all that. And you look at that and you go, that could be us. They did suffer. They did have to go down and all that. And I just look and think, how...
It doesn't take much,
though. What level do you have to get? And I think a lot of people last night, for me, people, well, you're always optimistic because you've got to try to be.
Yeah, of course.
You've got to try to be, otherwise you make your head blow off. But I sat there against Fulham and looked at no response at 2-1 and thought, we really are banging trouble because there was the same as Southampton at home under Lampard, there was no response when Ward-Prowse scored the free kick. It was just like, we're done. Yeah. And when your players have got nothing in them, how can I sit here and go, I still think we'll get something. Now, we might go to Leicester on Monday and nick a 1-0 or something off a set. We may well do. You can't sit here and go, there's no chance Everton will stay up because they're still in the hunt. But
like I said, if we get to Wolves, we get to Bournemouth, and we're still in it.
Yeah. It's bigger though, isn't it?
Of course
it's bigger because unless we doing the famous quote, you know, continue to do the same thing and expect different results is the sign of insanity.
Newcastle there have proved what it can take. This isn't that hard. We've got a fan base which will back players no matter what. We've proved that.
Yeah.
We've got players.
Back them to the hill.
We've got players. We've got fans who've backed the club. They'll go and get the season tickets. You know, we've got the new stadium on the horizon. None of us want to miss out on the prospect of what it could be like going into there, even though it could be like the worst case scenario. But we're always thinking, well, fucking hell, mate, if we go in there and all it takes is those dickheads who run our club. And I have no issue saying that because they are. I think they've proved it by now.
No, but let's be... Yeah.
No, I know. I'm not saying the people who actually work there day and night. I mean, the actual clowns who were on the board. If those people could get out their own way and say, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it isn't the 6 or 7 managers, 8, 9, 10 managers. Maybe I'm the problem. And if I can just get out my way, if I love the club, I get out my way. You know, the Fab have just called a no vote of confidence in the chairman.
Good.
Maybe we'll get another letter tonight. That's exciting. Maybe if they could get them out the way and realise they're the problem, and then the owner starts realising that he's the problem, and then we get decent ownership of the football club, this club could give us what we want, which is just a team that we can be happy with, and we're proud of. And we go, you know what? No, we can't compete with Manchester City because they're just ridiculous. And maybe we can't compete with this other club because they've got millions of fans. But you know what? If they give us a little bit of pride now and again.
I look at it and go, and you should never have said this to Steve, you should never be looking at it going, well, you know, imagine if we just were in the race for Europe. But you should put, that's where Everton, in my opinion, it's where Everton should be. Yeah. Don't deserve to be. They don't deserve, there's no divine right that Everton should be there. But for me, in my opinion, that's where Everton should be on the scale of battling for stuff. It wouldn't take that much to get there, but conversely, it seems like a lot needs to happen to get there, because what is the point, like you've just said, in hanging on and being here again? And who's to say we won't be here again without change? And we will, and the changes will come. I just worry now that it's too late. Now, being too late, as in relegation, will mean that we chase most of these players, because we can't afford most of them. On the wages, so they'll go. And don't forget, you'll always get, I ain't playing in the Championship. No. I'm too good to play in the I've took you down, but I'm too good to play in the Championship. So a lot of them will go, and that might be where you get a hard reset. But that's one bad case scenario to turn your football club around, isn't it? Yeah,
it's the worst case, really, because you're relying really on coming straight back up. If not, you're in a different world, aren't you? You're in Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah. Administration type stuff.
And the EFL are a lot tougher than the Premier League as well, with their suspensions and all that type of stuff. But I think just as a club as well, and like Ped was saying before, we want to be trying to promote the next group of Everton fans, and it's hard, isn't it? Because you're looking at it and you're like, they're not a Premier League football team anymore. Could be potentially in 2 months' time, we could be starting the season in a different league. Do you know what I mean?
On the 29th
of July. It's like, and I look at other clubs, like you said there before, Newcastle, like they haven't done anything like world changing to change the club. They've just removed negativity from it, and that's all they've done. They've removed all the negativity and replaced it with people who know stuff about the modern football.
Like, let me ask you this:
we've got no modern people to get in our club.
Let me ask you both this: if Everton made that change and we get to the end of the season, I don't know whether we're relegated or we're not, right? But say we got to the end of the season and the board changed, like new people come in. Yeah. Is that enough to turn everything the other way? Do they need a new manager and a new way of playing and stuff to try and get everyone on board? Or is it simply the board to move before we start sticking together?
Go on, Steve.
Yeah, the board have to go. There's no way they.
Oh yeah. I just mean, is that just it or what?
Yeah, because 6 of that team,
doesn't it?
Six of that Newcastle team last night played for Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
Played in Mike Ashley's regime.
Yeah.
That's 5 players. And if you look at their bench, they've got a 40, 50 million pound striker on the bench.
Yeah.
They've got a 40 million pound midfielder on the bench. They've created that. Like, I watched them against Spurs on Sunday, and they won 6-1. You think they'd won the league? They were going around making sure that they clapped every end of the stadium and stuff like that.
But we have that fan base, don't we? That
we do, but
if it goes
we look towards the director's box and we don't know who's running the football club. Yeah. There's no leadership from the top of the club or the bottom of the club, and that's always been the problem.
We've got all that, haven't we? We've got all that. We're not sitting here.
The infrastructure's there for Everton.
It's all there. The ground's coming. The ground's coming on. We've got all the bits in place. We've got a fan base that turns up every week. It's not like they've gone missing.
No.
But an away fans who are nuts.
Yeah.
We've got it all. What we don't have is leadership. Yeah. What we've got is a club that's it's fighting with itself.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is it simply just that, or is there more?
To me, the manager goes as well. And I said this last.
What if they stay up?
No, I'd be honest, right? I'd let him go and I'm not being horrible. And it's not this thing. I've seen people going, "Oh, kicking off another manager." It's not that. Everton need a long-term vision to turn this club round.
Yeah.
They need a vision. They need new people at the top. They need someone in the dugout who is a modern manager. Personally, if Everton stayed up, I'd go balls out to get Potter. Right? It's who we wanted to be last summer, but maybe it wasn't right for him. If Everton got new ownership, Kevin Felwell, listen, people have their own opinions on him. But if Kevin Felwell can do the job properly, you got a new manager, you got a structure, Everton fans will get behind it, right? If Sean Dyche stays, fine. I've got no real axe to grind as such. I think he's working one hand tied behind his back, right? Unfortunately, his other hand's only got 2 fingers on it. But Everton need serious direction. They need fans to buy in. Fans will not buy in. Fans are... They're restless. They're not having a go with each other, but there is that thing of like, I can look at loads of people who left last night at 3-1 down and go, did you give me dodgy looks when I walked out on the 27th minute? The answer is yes, because I know you are. There's a lot of that. And there's a lot of like, I'm not marching because what's the point? And then as someone who marches, I'm like, come out the pump, mate. There's a lot of that. I don't want to be like that. I don't want them to think of me the same way. I want harmony. I want this club to be going in one direction. And the excuses of why you aren't doing well are just football. He's not playing well. Yeah. We need a better right back. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what football used to be.
Too much.
It shouldn't be.
We shouldn't have to worry about P&L sheets, should we? Yeah. All of that nonsense.
No. We shouldn't have to worry. We shouldn't have to worry about, like, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't have to worry whether we can afford to bring in this player, or we shouldn't have to worry whether they're going to take points off us. We shouldn't have to worry who's looking over our shoulder. We shouldn't have to look about, we have to get this sponsoring because of the money. We shouldn't have to... No. The only thing we as fans should have to worry about is whether we rate Ben Godfrey over Patterson or vice versa. Yeah. And then we can sit and moan about that all day. Yeah. And they're footballers.
And you'll always get that one.
Of course you will. Of course you will. We just argued over whether we thought for the first 20 minutes when Everton was shit, whether...
They weren't. They were like Brazil in 1970. Compared to the Fulham game.
Yeah. But that's the point though, isn't it? It's like, that's what we should be arguing over.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't be going...
And for any Newcastle fans, you were brilliant after that half an hour, by the way.
That's the point, isn't it? As football fans,
there's been too much. We do this every day. We have spent far too long over the last year going on about finances and worrying and what does this mean for balance and where direction and why aren't we doing this? Why isn't there enough Mars bars in the upper Bullens? There is now, thanks very much. All of that. But listen, Dwight McNeil scored a corner. Awful goalkeeping from Nick Pope.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some things in life, but life now for me is complete.
Complete with the big
complete.
Dwight.
I've seen Dwight McNeil. I've seen Dwight McNeil score at the Gladys Suite.
Yeah. I thought, listen,
life will never be the same.
Again.
I'll be honest, I didn't even realise it'd gone in.
There was other options we could have got.
I was hoping it was a goal.
But listen, he's our top scorer, and he's had the goal lately. I'm not going to he's had the goal lately.
Yeah. Truly warrants that number 7.
But then, quite classic in Everton style, 35 seconds later, we give the worst goal I've ever seen Everton concede away. Isaac, brilliant. Loads of skill and talent.
No, sorry.
Someone should have just put him in the stand with a tackle. Michael Keane got sent to Anfield and to Tranmere and come back. He didn't know what day it was by one little trip.
I honestly thought he was doing an impression of Taz, the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
He just went round in circles.
Yeah. It was just, it was like the cliff when Zola does Carragher every day. It was like that times 10. It was I don't know what.
There was 4 players round.
They were just running like that. One of them was just like looking at him as if to go, oh, you're good with the... It was just embarrassing. And, you know, knock it across.
I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Maybe. But you know, from Newcastle...
For a lad, basically, he's standing at the far post going, which bit of the goal should I put in?
Because he just plays one over that he should have scored.
Which bit of this goal should I put this goal in?
And there you go. Within a second, they did score a 5th, but VAR went, we better give Everton something here. And disallowed it.
He was offside.
Yeah, and they missed another couple. They were more than worthy of their 3 points. Could have had 5 or 6. But for us, it was a pitiful thing. And that's like the last 3-1 against Fulham, 4-1 against Newcastle. Hello, Manchester City is the next one to come. So we have got to quickly regroup, go to Leicester in what is, again,
it's a must-win.
It is
must-win.
Because the problem we've got is by the time it won't happen, but by the time we play on Monday, we could be bottom. If Southampton, no, we couldn't. We couldn't. They got beat. Sorry, we couldn't. But we could be 5 points adrift with results going to Leicester, and that would be terrifying, wouldn't it? Really. So it is a must-win. And it's a huge game because then we've got Brighton away and City at home, and we quite conceivably get beaten both of them.
We've won 3 games this year. We'd have to win 3 games in 4.
We've won 3 games since October.
We're on course to score 3 more goals this season.
Points.
Do you know what I mean? I know that's
the last team to stay up with
Huddersfield
with 27 or 28.
28, yeah.
28.
But how many points did they stay up with?
About 35 or 36. We ain't getting that, are we? So
that means
it isn't over.
That means we'd have to win 3 games 1-0.
That's all you should say.
No, I'd stop listening.
No, Steve's right though.
It's just I just look at it. We've won 3 games since October. So basically, if we lose Sunday, we'd have to win 3 more, and we're playing Man City.
Realistically, right?
And Brighton as well.
How many points do you think Everton need out of these last 5 games? Do you think it's 9 or 37 points?
Probably
7.
You think 7? So
I think
Leeds are on 30. They've got bad games, Leeds as well. But that's only 1 team.
I think 7.
I think Forest are only getting 34 points. I think Leeds could end up with 34.
I think 7
which
points.
Means we'd need 7.
Only 7.
We'd need half points, which we're not very good at. So.
And we've got 2 away games, or 3 away games, and we're crap away. And we're crap at home as well, to be honest with you. But
so what you're saying is we're crap?
I think last 2 games have
done it. Yeah. Fair play.
But what you said, Fulham. Fulham was the one.
Fulham was the killer. Fulham was to beat Fulham.
I don't think it was the killer. I think Nottingham Forest was the killer. Genuinely, I think not beating Nottingham Forest.
2-1 up with 13 minutes left.
The day when I thought
that was a huge opportunity.
That was a huge opportunity.
Scored goals in them games, didn't we as well?
That was the day I just thought
got a penalty.
You couldn't be Forest. You have to be Forest if you want to stay up, and they couldn't.
No. Let's have a look at the stats from the game. Everton had 13 shots, Newcastle 15, 5 on target for the Blues, 8 for Newcastle. No big chances for Everton, 3 for Newcastle, 40% possession to 60. Yeah, deserved win for the Geordies. They smashed us. There's not. I think we've done it to death, haven't we? It's just got harder. I think people are starting to look at it and look now and think we are in huge trouble.
Well, the anger will start now.
Yeah.
Because, we'll see what happens Monday. Yeah. But that's when the anger will start.
Yeah. It will, I agree with that.
Because people will look at it. People will go through the
especially if results go bad as well.
There's a realisation now,
people will realise, and if those people have got any sense, they will bail. Bournemouth last game of the season.
Scary.
I tell you what, the fireworks won't be outside the ground.
I think the fans might be though, because if Everton are down, there won't be any fans in the ground.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
It is, isn't it? Scary, but listen, we're still in at the moment. Monday, on to Monday, which is another horrible game, but there you go. That's it for us. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. We're carrying on for a few minutes on Toffee TV Premier, where we're looking at your comments on the game. Big thanks for watching. Subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. See you later.
Don't have nightmares.
No, do not have nightmares. See you later.